What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois. Get this. Via Wayne Smith, okay? This is what he had to say about the sparring between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. He says, quote, "Keep seeing stuff about sparring rumors from Dubois bashing AJ. I watched AJ and Dubois spar at Sheffield personally for 5 rounds, twice over 2 days. This was years ago, so has little bearing on now. On that occasion, though, one man didn't want to get in the ring and had to be coached in, okay? Even saying he'd lost his gum shield at one point. Then didn't really throw anything and tucked up. That man wasn't AJ, just saying." Wow. Woo. Listen, let me counterpunch. Of course, this is another edition of Sparring Wars. Absolutely. This is a sparring war discussion once again. As you guys know, that the word around the campfire, okay, the word in the streets is that Daniel Dubois dropped AJ, bashed up AJ. You know, some people said he stopped AJ. You know, a lot of those people said that. Okay. Keep in mind, this is Mr. Wayne's take as his experience or observation of the 2 days and 5 rounds. Okay? I can tell you all this. I can tell you first of all, him going for 2 days, watching 10 rounds, you know, in the total of 2 days, it proves that what he saw is what he saw. You know, and this is new news to everyone because no one has reported this. Now, the question is, why hasn't this been reported in 7 fucking years? Think about it. In 7 years, people, you heard one thing, one narrative, one story. Daniel Dubois pieced up Anthony Joshua in sparring, gave him the blues, stopped him, dropped him, all types of other takes on it. Even Daniel on Ellie Said Back reporting, right, said that, hey, yeah, I dropped AJ. Okay? Now, what does this mean? All right. This means that Wayne Smith's observation was only for 10 rounds and 2 days. The question you ask yourself, well, how many days did they spar? Could Daniel Dubois did what everyone said he did? Yeah, they could have did that. That could have happened because in 2 days and in 10 rounds, 5 rounds apiece, right? You know, that could have happened, but there's other days involved. So, again, unless you were there for the whole training camp, who was there on the GB team, which Daniel Dubois was in, unless you were there every day to see every fight and round, to see everything that went down, that's the only person that can legitimately speak on what happened throughout that time to give us a whole bulk. I just find it strange how things got out watching someone, 2 guys fight for how many days, how many rounds, you know? Because understand this, it's all out of context, okay? Because you don't have the full view. You don't have the full amount of rounds. You don't have everything intact. He's just been there 2 days, the days that he cared to go up there, which is great to hear because it also gives you another story on what happened during those sparring sessions. I just find it strange as shit why we didn't hear about it. The only thing that I can come up with is AJ was an up-and-coming star at the time, and they needed some type of hole in his defense. They needed some type of flaw on AJ, something on AJ that gave him a sense of vulnerability, right? So I think that's what that was. And at the same time, keep in mind, Danny Dubois, by the time that shit got out, he was signing with Frank Warren. Okay? And I think it was meant to push the public to like Daniel, because Daniel was a guy that did this at a young age, a long time ago, and I think that was relevant at the time. What do you do to big up any fighter? You talk about what that fighter's done. Why do you think Martin McCauley's running around here saying, I beat up AJ, Usyk, Joyce, Dubois? He's saying he whooped everybody's ass. Let's see what he does against Jared Anderson, Big Baby, too. Right? Let's see what he does with him. You know what I mean? And I'm going to laugh my ass off. He gets chopped up by that boy because you've talked about everybody else to big up yourself, and then yet you couldn't deliver when it was time to get in the ring and fight. Listen, sparring versus fighting is two different things. However, sparring means something. It means you've done and you've put hands on a fighter at some point. Okay? And it only means something when you don't fight the guy professionally. Let's talk about the people for a minute that sparred and fought. Gennady Golovkin, Canelo Alvarez. You know, we heard about the stories up there in Big Bear. We heard what Canelo did to Golovkin. We heard what Golovkin did to Canelo. And we heard Golovkin got the best of him. And really, those fights reflected that. That's why they were good. Philip Hrgovic, Danny Dubois. We heard what Philip Hrgovic did to Danny Dubois. Danny Dubois had to postpone his fight because he got taxed in the ass. Right? Okay. But what happened in the fight? Dubois delivered. He opened up a can of whip ass and he didn't stop and it was stopped. Yeah. Okay. Who else? Who else can we talk about right now? This fight. These guys are going to fight. Thank God. They're going to get it on. So the sparring between Anthony Joshua and Danny Dubois, it keeps coming up because it's needed to push this fight. It's needed to promote the fight. I feel it's being resurrected because that was years ago, 7 years ago, damn near a decade ago. But it had to be brought up. And I'm glad somebody came up and said, you know what? I've seen those guys spar. And I didn't see the shit everybody else seen, but the question you ask yourself, was he there when all that other stuff went down? That's really unimportant or irrelevant simply because what he saw was another story that he could tell. Okay? So between Dubois and AJ and Dubois and Hrgovic and Canelo, Golovkin, all of these fights, okay? All of these fights and these sparring, none of them matched up. And none of them really reflected the fights as much as the sparring or the stories of the sparring showed you or claimed. Okay? So this is good. You know, this shows that AJ pieced them up. This shows that AJ, you know, got some get back. If that all happened. Because I think it probably all happened. I don't know if he stopped them necessarily. But we heard that he dropped them because Daniel said that he did. Okay? I don't know why he would lie at a young age. But then again, you know. He's a young guy, and by association, you become, you know, associated with a guy that's going up and up and up. You know how it goes. So, you know, ask Deontay Wilder. You know, that's how he got up there, because he kept associating his name with another person's name. So it's a good thing to do. It's good promotion, all right? So if anything, I'm glad that somebody came forth with this new news that Anthony Joshua knocked the mouthpiece out of Danny Dubois. Danny Dubois froze up and tucked up and didn't want to get in the ring with Anthony Joshua because of the ass whooping he was getting. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched.